Defending Jacob, right? And that is on Apple TV, Defending Jacob. And Jacob is a quiet kid. He's a quiet Caucasian kid. And those are the ones you have to watch out for up here, I believe. But anyway, look. He's a quiet kid.
Right.
And he has a loving mom, a loving dad.
Right.
He goes to a nice middle school.
His father is Captain America. I mean, come on.
I mean, how could you go? I mean, his father is Captain America,
played by Chris Evans.
That's right. How could you go wrong with that? And so something happens one morning where one of his classmates is found dead in a ravine in the woods. He's found dead, and automatically the city, we can say that the city is put down on lockdown. It's a little small town.
Yeah.
It's put down on lockdown. The middle school that he went to is put down on lockdown, and they start to interview the students about, what they do. Is there anyone who could possibly want it out for this kid, right?
Right.
Meanwhile, while they're doing this interviewing, and his father is one of the people who is interviewing the kids, right? Yeah. He is
he a district attorney?
He's a district attorney, and he goes in with his police.
Right. She's a private
buddy. Yeah.
Private detective.
Right. And they go in and they are interviewing the kids, right? And meanwhile, while this is discovered, there is a message. There's a messenger page.
Right.
And on that messenger page, the different kids are posting things.
Right.
And Captain America's son's name comes up, and one of the guys says, "We know you did it." Yeah. And that's when the story kicks off from there, right?
The cast.
Go through the cast.
Oh gosh, as soon as I touch the screen. Starring Chris Evans, he plays the father, Andy Barber.
Mm-hmm.
Jaden Martell plays Jacob Barber.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Dockery plays Lori Barber.
Mm-hmm.
Pablo Schreiber, we know him from American Gods,
which we probably won't be watching because they're getting ready to make this a buffoon festival for black people. I could tell. Yeah. Well, is the season even going to come?
I would have thought it would have kicked off by now, but I think with the uproar with them removing Orlando,
but the COVID-19, too, the filming. But go ahead.
Also starring Cherry Jones,
mm-hmm.
Betty Gabriel. She plays Pam Duffy. We know her from Get Out. She
mm-hmm. played
the housekeeper in Get Out.
You sure did.
Also playing Sakina Jeffrey, Danielle Hanshaw, Purna Jagannathan, and William Forrest.
Right. So look, that kicks off the film with the messenger board. And why did Andy Barber, Captain America, why did he? There's a murder the murder happens, and there's a cut on the throat from ear to ear. And why did he take something that the son had and dispose of it?
Right.
The story could have been over in the first episode had he not disposed of something.
Right.
And so the film, each episode is a tour de force or a journey in relationships.
Yeah. How
relationships were, what they develop into, and how distrust and misfounded trust leads people to then become disagreeable to the point where right now this is a white person, right? But had this been a black person, there probably would be a lynch party. But it's to that point where they're taking black paint and you're a murderer. You know how they used to say, go back to Africa. they doing this, right? And so it gets to the point where you're looking at this show and you're like, look at the savagery of these people not giving the benefit of the doubt, letting the information play out. They're out for blood.
Right.
Yeah. They're out for blood.
You know what? I had to go to another site to pick up the rest of the actors because they didn't have all the cast on the other site. J.K. Simmons is also
is Old Man Barber.
The father, grandfather, great actor. We know him from
quite a few things, but
tons of stuff.
But really, we really know him from Oz, right? So he kind of picks up his character from Oz because he's behind bars,
right?
And he talks and and he says, "Hey, your son, he runs in the family."
He does. He does a great acting job in this film.
Yeah, he does a great.
And then I want to throw in the kids because it's mostly about these kid actors do a great job, and they weren't on the other site.
Yeah, they just.
But Ben Taylor is also starring. Jordan Alexa Davis, she does a great job. The young girl.
I think so.
And Hale Lytle is also starring in the film, and Liam Kilbreth. So that's everybody.
Listen, people. So, defending Jacob, you have to, if you're looking for something to watch during this COVID quarantine, because I fear that the way people are doing in the quarantine, with the phase 1, that I fear that by the fall we will be back in quarantine because the next wave will come thanks to these people who are not social distancing, not wearing masks, not wearing gloves, not being covered from head to toe, just protecting yourself from what's happening out there. Just protecting yourself, I fear that we're going to be back in this, and the second wave will come. And the scientists had already said 18 months, that's a year and a half to 2 years in quarantine, right? So, what would you rate what we've seen so far? Because it's episodic, and we're on the sixth episode coming up, right?
Yeah, the sixth episode is coming up. There's in all there are 8 episodes, right? So 6 is coming up, and so far what we've seen up to 1 through 5, I mean, it's very interesting. Great storytelling, great cinematography, because I love the different scenes and stuff and the footage captured, and it takes place in Boston, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, it takes place in Boston. And they do a great job. Yeah, but I could tell because of the
architecture.
That, and also what is it? The ocean, right?
Oh, the water.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
and their Boston accents.
Yeah, which is weird. We talked about that because I guess it's just like in any city. Like Jacob's family, they don't have an accent at all, right? And some of the other people that they interact with. But when the father put on his prosecuting hat, right? Because he's trying to help his son as well. So when he did his own investigating, and when he went into the part of Boston that may be considered unsavory, right? They had the real thick, like Boston accents. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, they're in Boston. But yeah, the cinematography, they captured everything really well.
So what would you give them?
I would, so far 1 through 5, I would give it a 7 also.
Oh, 7. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Why would you say that?
Because I have to see 8. I have to see it to the very end. So far, it's going really great. But again, I am highly disappointed in the way Game of Thrones ended.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And so I don't trust now, with these series.
Giving high ratings.
Yeah, because then you see it in the very end, it just like falls off the cliff.
Disappoints you.
Like the writing gets horrible and it gets lazy and they just slap anything together, and at the very end it is just like... So far it's going great. I'm giving it a 7, and I'm looking forward to watching episode 6,
Mm-hmm.
episode 7 and 8, and and the acting is great. The son is frustrating, but I guess teenagers can be frustrating.
And that's what makes him look like he could have done it.
Because I'm like, this kid,
he might have done it.
He might have done it.
He called a friend a slut.
I mean, so and I'm like, the little black girl was being nice. How could you be so mean to her? But anyway,
so 7. Okay, I give it for the pacing on each episode, how they break down the friendship. I don't give it about a 9 right now, and
good.
I see right there.
I mean, the acting and everything is great and stuff, but it's just this kid. One minute he's like he seems to be a sweet kid, and then next minute he just gets evil, and then next minute it's like he's detached because we don't want to give it away. You have to watch it, right? But in episode 1, it's well paced.
Yeah.
So in episode 1, you see what happens, right? And after
you don't see who does.
You don't see who committed the crime.
You
right?
see the aftermath. You see the after the crime happens.
So you see what happens, and it's horrible, right? But then this kid is like so detached from it.
He's still like going around like nothing's wrong.
I'm like,
and the parents initially were too at first.
Yeah.
They didn't know that they would be basically segregated from out of the community that they lived in, or ostracized in the community that they live in. But they are. Yeah, so I give it a 9 right now.
Yeah, so far it's a 7, which is good. For me, it's going good.
Yeah, it's going good.
So, I don't know, by the time, we get to episode 8, and then during the blurb, I'll mention it. So believe me, I will get back to this. And I will let you know, how I feel the ending is, and if I just,
if you change your number,
if I change my number.